always said that the WNBA is the place where basketball careers go to die, but the Washington Wizards might be a close second. It's a close matchup between the Wizards and the Pelicans to see who can be the biggest dump in the NBA. No one wants to play for the Pelicans, and they damn sure don't want to play for the Wizards. Unfortunately for Trae Young, that's where he's going to be spending the next year, 2 years of his NBA career. But more than likely, his career as a perceived superstar in the NBA, it's over. We have seen something similar like this happen a lot in the NBA. Young star enters the league. I don't want to say they see immediate success, but they experience success pretty early in their career. Problem is, they can't sustain it. We are witnessing it right now with Ja Morant. Hell, at this point, most casual fans are asking, who in the hell's Ja Morant? Saw it with Dwight Howard when he left Orlando for the Lakers, Bradley Beal, Andrew Bynum, Zion Williamson. They come into the league. They are big superstars. They get traded away from their original team for whatever reason, although Zion hasn't been traded yet. Then their career as a superstar player slowly declines. 4 or 5 years ago, Trey Young was well on his way to becoming one of the biggest stars in the NBA. Led the Hawks to the Eastern Conference Finals. If he doesn't get injured in that series, the Hawks had a small chance of making the NBA Finals. But even though the series ended in disappointment, it felt like the Hawks were building a contender in Atlanta. Unfortunately, Trae Young has never been able to match the production of that 2021 playoff run, that season. Next 2 years, Hawks were bounced in the first round. Last couple of years, they haven't even made the playoffs. And even though Trae Young is a dynamic playmaker offensively, he is a complete liability defensively, which is why the Atlanta Hawks were willing to send him to basketball Siberia in exchange for a well past his prime CJ McCollum and a role player in Corey Kispert. 5 years ago, that trade ain't even being discussed, but the Hawks finally figured out they were better off without Trae Young. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the main channels in the description below. This season, the Hawks are 16-13 without Trae Young, who is supposedly their best player. He's damn sure their highest paid player. With Trae Young on the court, the Hawks are 2-8. I don't have to explain why that dog won't hunt. With the NBA essentially eliminating super teams, with the massive penalties for crossing the second apron of the salary cap, the days of max contract, one-dimensional superstar players, those days are over. Teams can no longer afford to pay Trae Young $50 million a year to be a complete liability on the defensive end of the court. It's a somewhat similar situation to what the Dallas Mavericks were in with Luka Dončić. Now, obviously, the Luka trade was abhorrent. It eventually got Nico Harrison fired. And to be honest with you, Nico Harrison should have been fired for trading Quentin Grimes in exchange for Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin is Captain Scrub. This dude is one of the worst NBA players I have ever seen. But anyway, even though trading Luka was unbelievably bad, the main reason the Luka trade was bad is because of what the Mavs got in return. If they had received a load of draft picks, if they had received a superstar in return that actually plays consistently, the fan base would have been upset, but they would eventually move on. But the reasoning behind the Luka Dončić trade it was somewhat understandable. The Lakers are finding out right now Luka does not play defense. He's not below average, damn sure nowhere near average. Luka Dončić is one of the worst defenders in the league. Hell, he would be the worst defender in the league if it wasn't for Trae Young. If you have the offensive talent of Trae Young or Luka Dončić, it's not like you got to be Herb Jones defensively, but at the same time, you can't be a complete liability. You can't be the guy that is consistently hunted on every possession. Doesn't matter how many points you score. If you score 50 points, but you're responsible for giving up 60, you're losing. And with the massive penalties that are now in place for going over the second apron, teams have figured out it is damn near impossible to have a max player who is a complete liability defensively and compete for a championship, which is why I believe Trae Young's career as a perceived superstar in the NBA is over. He's an undersized guard who's now playing in basketball Siberia. By this time next year, Trae Young will probably be on the NBA's missing persons report. The Wizards, they will say all the right things. They'll claim to be dedicated to building around Trae Young, but how do you build around an undersized guard who's a max player who struggles to shoot the three and doesn't play defense? Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later on the main channel.